I'm going to start out today's video by visiting our local antique shop. We've only got one local antique shop here that's, pretty good. Other than that, you have to go quite a ways to get to one. So we're going to go visit one, which belongs to a friend of mine, Doris, and David is her husband. And it's in a huge barn built in the 1940s, which used to be a tobacco barn. So let's go shopping. And when we get back, I will show you what I purchased from the antique shop. Now I want you to know that it was really a windy day when I filmed it. So in some of the video, especially when I'm outside, it's very windy and it's difficult to hear me speaking, but that doesn't last for very long. So please bear with me. Today we're going to do something different. This is a local antique store owned by Doris. Doris is my friend, and it's in a great big huge historic barn. Step inside here and take a look. And she has a very good variety of things. Look at this stove that's been transformed into shelf and cupboard. Excellent. If you see anything here you like, Doris is open by appointment. I love the atmosphere in here. I love this wood. The stairway up there on the second floor are so many old tools and old chopping block. Of course, we're here in the middle of farm country, so we're going to see a lot of farm antiques and primitives. And primitives are what I love. Here's a wonderful old pump. Cute. I love lamps like this. We have a lot of lamps in our house because our house is kind of dark. Rolling pins, love rolling pins. These are rag bowls. These were used to save all the old rags to make rag rugs and braided rugs as well. I used to collect graniteware when I first started collecting antiques. Graniteware was reasonably priced, and something I always loved. Okay, lots of little kitchen cupboards. These are usually from the 30s and 40s.
How are you all?
These little porcelain top tables. 20s, 1920s, 1940s. It is really rustic. Old cupboard. Here they are. I love these. These are so great. Look at this one. We're going to have to make some candles in a near future video before Christmas. Let me turn up my ISO. There we go. Much better. This is a washing machine masher. Whole toolbox. Another masher. Another crock. Here's a good collection. This is what I like. Great wash tub price on this. I've got one of these, $250. I've got one of these out in the garden. I think this would be a dryer. It would be a fold-out clothes dryer or sock dryer. I'm not sure. There's a really old rock. Here's something I like.
So was this used at one time as a barn?
Oh, we used to have horses. Of course, this wasn't here. We had it on 40 foot on the other end and 40 foot on this end. He and I did back in our younger days. And so we had probably 10 or 12 horses. And I showed horses and we met a
It's a wonderful early table, walnut, and a beautiful Tennessee chair. Look how short to the ground, to the floor that is. I think people were smaller back then. I've put down the gimbal. I'm just tired of dealing with it. And now I'm going to hand hold the camera, so it might be a little jerky. But I want you to see this wonderful copper colander for $65, and this is the real thing. It's very heavy, copper and brass, great colander. Tin graters, I collected those for a while, but I think this is a little less impressive as far as a colander, but really sweet tin colander. More a country piece. Now this cupboard is very primitive, very well worn with a lot of good patina. Love it. I love wooden bowls and crocks. This really is the shop for people who collect the really early farm and country antiques. So I'm just going to take some items here. This is a corn sheller butter mold. Take a look at that. Butter mold, grater, beautiful crock bowls, mashers, beeswax candle molds. Here we have whoops, sorry about that. A butter mold, a bean pot, a tiny little muffin tin. Oops. Wooden bowls. This is for, I think you put that in a creamer. Oh, no, I know what that is. I can't remember. I've got one at home. And beautiful old whiskey crock. I should say whiskey jug. And another really cool crock. Fishing bag, maybe? Wonderful old barrel. Look at that wonderful old barrel. Love that. These look so great with flowers in them. Dried flowers or fresh flowers. Another whiskey crock, and here we have a little wooden bowl full of rags, and the rag balls, as I said, were used to make rag rugs and braided rugs as well. So here we have a jelly cutter. Now, this was not an antique. This is something David, her husband, made. We've got a lot of vintage metal signs. So for example, this knee-high. This is a tobacco setter. And we are in tobacco country. Anyway, this is a really cozy, warm antique shop. And if you're around here, if you come around this area, this is Rutledge, Tennessee. She's only open on Saturday and by appointment, I believe, but I will get her contact information for you in the description below. This is one of the Appalachian Trails blocks, and these are scattered throughout the county. I don't know how many of these were painted, but I painted 2 of them. I painted this one, and I painted one and put it on our barn, and it's in pretty bad shape right now because it's been, I bet it's been 20, 25 years ago. Well, that one's in pretty good shape. Mine doesn't look that good. So let me show you what I came home with from the antique store last week. I got 2 of the candle molds. I have been wanting these for a very long time. I used to see them often in Early American Life magazine, Country Home magazine. I don't know if you can see in that picture, but there's a set right there up on top of this fireplace in this colonial home. They were so outrageously expensive back then, but Doris gave me these for a pretty good price. This one is for 6 candles, and they were pretty much a household necessity because before the advent of electricity, where everybody had it, people had to pour their own candles, and they had to have a very nice stash. So they would often have several candle molds, and they would also have candle boxes in which to keep the candles so that the mice couldn't get in and eat the tallow or the beeswax. So I'm actually going to try these out probably in a month or 2. I'm going to use beeswax, do some beeswax candles, and hopefully, since I've never done it before, hopefully they'll turn out okay. I also bought this wonderful old glass jar. You can never have too many glass jars. There's so many uses for this in the greenhouse, in the kitchen, in the potting shed, on the porch. You can do all sorts of things. I don't have a purpose for it yet, but I definitely will. Now, I also came home with the copper colander. I'm not sure if it's a colander or a skimmer. Either way, I'll probably use it as a colander and hang it on the wall because it's copper, and copper's beautiful. Now, I'm in the process of cleaning it, so I thought we would talk a little bit about cleaning copper, because I know a lot of you love copper, you have copper. It really is beautiful, but it's also a real pain, in my opinion. I have several pieces of copper, but I have to tell you, I just get so irritated with it because it just gets spots and dings and black marks and all sorts of things on it just by hanging it on the wall. And I don't know if it's really worth all the trouble to keep it nice, because honestly you'd have to go every week and shine up your copper if you wanted to keep it nice. However, there are a few products that work pretty well on copper, and I guess I'm going to go ahead and talk about them. I've cleaned half of this colander so far, and you can see how the edges were pretty bad here, and the inside is just about turning black. But with a little elbow grease and a good product, I'm getting it, pretty much getting it into a shiny surface there. When I was a little girl, my mother let me clean the copper pans. She had a set of Revereware. Now, Revereware only had copper on the bottom. This is a piece of Revereware, and inside it is, I don't know, is that stainless steel? I'm not quite sure what it is. But I like these. I like these more than I like antique copper. Because antique copper, or old copper, such as this piece, has tinning on the inside. And you can see what happens to the tinning. It wears down, and it wears down more and more and more. And then it gets to the point where it's really not safe to cook in it. So it's pretty to hang on the wall, but as far as cooking, now here's one made in France, which is pure, beautiful copper. But you can look at the inside of this one, where it has really gotten worn down to the point where, you know, pretty soon I won't be able to use this for cooking. So I really do prefer Revereware, even though it's not antique copper. It doesn't have to be. I mean, they look the same. Now, when I cleaned my mother's Revereware, she gave me a salt shaker and a bottle of vinegar. And I would dip the washcloth in the vinegar, put it on the bottom of the pan, and the salt, and just clean it up. And it was wonderful. It worked great. And it really does. Vinegar and vinegar and salt, or lemon juice and salt. That works really well. The best way to clean the copper is good old barkeeper's friend. And there are many different application methods. There's a nice soft cleanser, which squeezes on like this. There's a spray. And of course, there's the good old-fashioned cleanser, and I actually like this one the best because it does have a little bit of grit. And if you've got a really stubborn piece of tarnish on your copper like this on the edge here, you really need that extra grit, in my opinion. But I just use a soft terry cloth, a pretty, with a lot of nap on it, and I just shine it up. Now, when copper is first cleaned, it has kind of a pink tinge to it. And then just within about a day or two, that goes down to more of the, what we think of as the copper color. So it doesn't take long for that pink to go. I don't really like that pink. I like it when it goes to the second stage of cleaning. But the thing about copper is, I mean, and I don't know why this happens with copper. Maybe some of you have an explanation. Why does copper so prone to all these black marks and these spots and these speckles? Why is it prone to that? Let's find out. Let's do a little research on that. I should have done it before I started the video, but the problem is my computer crashed for a few minutes, and I had to come out here and do this. So you can see that this stuff works really well. It really does a good job. But for these spots like this, as I said, I prefer to get a little water on it and shake out my barkeeper's friend, and then work on it like this. And this is going to take some time, actually, just to get that off, because that is really on there. So a lot of elbow grease on that copper should clean it off pretty well. It's going to take me maybe an hour just to clean this whole thing off. Okay, maybe not an hour. Okay, maybe 15 or 20 minutes to get this whole thing clean. But let me show you one that is in really bad shape. And I don't know if it'll ever come clean. And that is this ancient. Well, I don't know if it's ancient, but this copper kettle. You can see you'd never known when I bought it. Didn't even know it was copper because, I mean, it looks like this. Got smashed when a tree fell on it. Anyway, been using it out here just to water the plants. Come to find out, it's copper too. So let's just give it a little dab and see if we can just get any of this off. Because like I said, this one is in really rough shape. Now with the foam and the liquid, I think it's best if you leave it on for a while. You might apply it and leave it on for maybe 10 minutes or so and let it sit. There you go. There's my copper coming through. But if I ever do get this completely cleaned, see, it's got a lot of dents in it too, so I have to work into every little dent there. If I ever do get this completely cleaned, I'm going to have to keep up on it because I would hate for this to turn completely black again. Well, this is an interesting old kettle, but it's going to take quite some time and a lot of effort to get this one clean. It's just decades and decades of grime and tarnish. But look at the cool dents and everything on it. I think once I get it clean, it's going to be pretty interesting. I won't be able to use it actually as a kettle, but it would be great with dried flowers in it or fresh flowers too. That'd be beautiful. But before we go, I want to show you my very favorite copper in the house. This is bunny-sized copper. Isn't that the cutest little copper pot you've ever seen? That is a little antique copper pot. Another one. And we got a whole set of little pans and pots of copper. And I think I'm going to take a little break from that big old copper kettle and just clean this up. Well, I can tell you that cleaning this little copper kettle is a lot easier than cleaning that gigantic copper kettle over there. That's practically black. Now, one way you can tell if you have real copper is that when you clean it, it takes on this pink sheen, which doesn't last that long. It'll actually turn into the traditional copper color that we know. But if it takes on this pink sheen, then you know that you've got real copper. So in cleaning this little set of miniatures, I can see that this is a real copper kettle. And this one is a real copper kettle. And this also. But the pot is not real copper, because you see, it didn't take on that pink sheen when I cleaned it. The saucepan itself is not real copper, but its lid is real copper. Go figure. So, something to remember. In the meantime, from Hopalong Hollow, it was fun having you with me. If you want to visit that antique store, in the description below, I've given you Doris's text. And if you want to visit her, you can set up an appointment with her by texting her, and she will accommodate you. So from Hopalong Hollow, I'm glad you came with me today, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.